Two-time Oscar winner Sean Penn has provided vital assistance around the world to communities hit hard by natural disasters with his nonprofit organization CORE, Community Organized Relief Effort. He joins us now to tell us, how he's been able to provide life-saving help during this insane pandemic when you-know-who in the White House doesn't seem to be able to do that. Please welcome Sean Penn. Go ahead, Sonny.
In 2010, after an earthquake just decimated Haiti, you jumped into help by forming CORE. It's a nonprofit that assists people in countries after natural disasters. And I'm just so thankful for that work. As somebody who has seen government response to crises firsthand, how do you think this administration, Sean, has been helping and handling COVID? And what worries you the most?
Well, on a federal level, I think that one thing that certainly should be much more robust is in the Defense Production Act, manufacturing of the PPE and kits. I believe that if we had that on the kind of level with which that act was used in the past for war efforts, that there'd be no question but that we could test, in fact, give multiple tests over a series of weeks to every American. There's no question. We have a model that we've been able to push out, and with that, you're using a combination of local governance and community organizations or NGOs. It would work on a small municipality level as it would in a big city or in rural areas. So I think the thing that concerns me the most is that in some way there's almost too much information out there. We're trying to, what we do in Los Angeles and in Atlanta, Detroit, New Orleans, where we're doing our work now, also in the Navajo Nations, where we combine forces with local governance, in some cases just adding a supplement, in other cases it being principal implementer. And we're able to test thousands and thousands every day. And this is just one organization, but that kind of model replicated is not a difficult task. It's really about supply.
Sean, I agree with what you said. But you say that we're in an active shooter scenario right now. What do you mean by that? Explain it.
Well, I don't think we need to attach a face, a personality, or what somebody was sending on their social media to be able to identify an active shooter. An active shooter is anything that is continuing to kill people and our brothers and sisters and fathers and daughters and sons. This is this virus is the active shooter, and if we were, I think that if we could wrap our head around it in that way and understand that it's principally putting in the radical people of color, elderly people, indigenous people, but randomly selecting all of us, that we need to huddle around and make very clear decisions on how to approach this thing. It's not, I get concerned, though I know, of course, there's a necessity for people to be able to make a living. I get very concerned when the attitude is without caution or without respect for those dead, dying, the hospital workers, that and the science of this. This is a continuing problem, and it seems that there's just too much distraction.
Now, Sean, we've said for weeks in Hot Topics that a strong testing plan is the only way to move forward and reopen the country safely. But yesterday, the new White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, said it's just simply nonsensical for every person in the U.S. to be tested for coronavirus. Do you agree with that?
No, I think the problem is that people are speaking without any knowledge of what they're speaking of. This testing should be thought of again in a very, very basic way. In this kind of active shooter way of looking at it. This is a weapon that can get into any neighborhood, it can get into any school, get into any, as we know, retirement home, elderly care home. and even out the street and in the market. So, of course, we have to test if the idea is that human life matters. And those kinds of comments, I think, will normalize a disconnect between who we are and how who we want to be as a country and as a people.
Now, Sean, you're setting up and managing drive-through corona testing sites for people who want to be tested in California, Georgia, Louisiana, and Michigan. Why did you decide to take this on? I mean, it's not like you're not saving a whole bunch of places. You do extraordinary work, but why those states in particular?
Well, what happened was in California, we found that we have, in Governor Newsom and in Mayor Garcetti, along with the Los Angeles Fire Department, there was extraordinary leadership on this issue, and they had already principally designed and begun these programs. What happened is we started by relieving the firefighters that were taken up doing these jobs. You'd have 20 firefighters per site. Those would be 20 firefighters per site who were not able to respond to the needs of the community and the city at large. We were able to train our people up, replace them on the test sites, and let them get back to those duties. Out of that experience, we saw that this was a replicable thing, and we would start by replicating it ourselves. So we began to move the project with the governor throughout the state, and then ultimately start moving testing programs in collaboration with local governments, places that you talked about, and as we move forward now in Navajo Nation, which is getting hit particularly hard. The other thing is that we found we had enormous support that we could focus on where there were gaps, perhaps in some federal issues. We had companies. There was a company in California, Birdwell, where they started turning their board short and surfwear company into the making of masks. I think we've heard other stories like that. And now they run a very high-quality, safe operation. And I thought, we can combine these efforts we can stay very mission-focused on what is there to be done. And I think that if communities do take this on, even in the best of government situations, government cannot do it all. And this really has to be a community of citizens. So that's what we're hoping to model with our programs at CORE.
Well, our thanks to you, Sean Penn, for so many things, for so many countries who are better off now because you were there to help. And for coming on to The View. I think this is your first time, and I hope you'll come back to us. For more information on CORE, go to our website, and we'll show you where to look for everything.